an inequality to graph. Same thing, y equals mx plus b, except that it's an inequality instead. So look at that symbol for a minute. It's less than or equal to, so it's going to be solid, but the less than in it means you're going to be shading below. Part A is shading below and it's solid. B is not shading below and it's not solid, so that can't be it. C is not shading below and it's not solid, so that can't be it. D is shading below, but it's not solid, so that can't be it. So that narrows it down to A. But just to double check, your y-intercept is at 0, -2, which it is, and I should rise 2 and run 5. So if I go up 2, I'm here, and if I go right 5, I'm right here, so that checks out. On 25, you want to write the slope-intercept form for that line. So you have to find the y-intercept, and I can see clearly right here my y-intercept is the point 0,2. And if I want to find the slope, I have to find another point so I can count rise over run. So as I go down, I see, okay, right there there's a point, or right here there's a point. For any of those on my graph, I'm going down 3 units, and I'm going right 2 units. So that's down 3 and right 2. My equation should be y equals -3/2 x plus 2 for my y-intercept right there. If you match that up, that matches up with D. Okay, 26. You can see right here there's a line that goes through the y-axis at -2. If it crosses the y-axis at one number, I say y equals that one number, -2. And here it is right there on C. If it had been crossing my x-axis at -2, then I would have said x equals -2 as my answer. Next, write the slope-intercept form for the equation of each line given the slope and y-intercept. Well, if I'm given those two things, I can write it directly into y equals mx plus b slope-intercept form. My slope is -2, and my y-intercept is 0,3, so I put +3. And then just match that up, and it's right there, D. Okay, now you need to write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line through a given point with a given slope. So what you're given is the name of the form that you use. If I'm given a point and a slope, I use point-slope form to start with, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So that's where I start. So I have y minus, my y value is 2, which equals m, the slope of 3, times x minus that x value of -1. And anytime you're subtracting a negative, that's really just adding. Now on the right, you need to distribute. So y minus 2 equals 3x plus 3. And then to finish solving for y, you need to add 2 to both sides. So you get y equals 3x plus 5. And if I match that up here, I can see that answer is D. 29. Your elementary school teacher sent you home with a new plant. On day 0, the plant was 6 centimeters tall. That represents a point, 0.6. It grows at a rate of 1 centimeter per year. A rate means slope. Your slope is 1. Write the linear equation that models the situation for x weeks. Use h for the height of the plant and x for the number of weeks. So it's growing at a rate of 1 centimeter per week, and x is weeks. So you're going to have a 1x. The y-intercept, as we clearly see, is the point 0.6. So I have a 1x plus 6. And normally I would put y equals, but since we want h to represent the total height, and y is usually your total, we're going to say h equals 1x, or just x plus 6. That would be D. Solve each system by graphing. You graph both lines, you see the point where they intersect, and that's going to be your solution. So my first line has a y-intercept at 0,2. And the slope for that is -1 or -1/1. So I'm going to go down 1, right 1 repeatedly to graph that line. And don't forget to use a ruler to connect those points and make your line. Putting it right here, making that line, arrows on the end. The other line has a y-intercept at 0, -3. So find that point here. The slope is positive 2/3, so you're going to go up 2 and right 3. Up 2, right 3, and there's that same point. I don't have space to go up 2 and right 3 again, so I'm going to go back and do the opposite. Instead of up 2 and right 3, I'm going to go down 2 and left 3. Now I can make that line, put arrows on both ends, and my answer is that point right there where they cross. So I see the x value for that point is 3, and the y value for that point is -1. So I find 3, -1, and I circle it. That's your solution. The next one, y equals x minus 2, y equals x minus 4. Y-intercept at 0, -2. If I have y equals x, that's y equals 1x, which means my slope is 1. So I'm going to go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1 repeatedly, and graph that first line. The next one has a y-intercept at 0, -4, so find that point. The slope is also 1, so you go up 1, right 1 repeatedly. Graph that line. Oops. And you see that those two lines are parallel. They're never going to intersect. So if you have parallel lines that will never intersect, you have no solution. And you could have done that without graphing if you just look up here at the two equations and you see they both have a slope of +1. Then you know they have the same slope, they're parallel, they will never cross each other, they will never intersect, and so your answer is no solution.